Hello, I'm Matt from the Sedgwick Museum in Cambridge, and today I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to some of our marine reptile fossils. Marine reptiles is an umbrella term used for many different groups of aquatic reptiles that lived during the Mesozoic era. It includes familiar things like crocodiles and turtles, but also more exotic creatures like plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs. You can see some of these animals depicted on this 19th century reconstruction of Jurassic Dorset called Duria antiquia. This is the founding collection of the museum, donated to the university in 1728 by Dr. John Woodward. It contains several isolated vertebrae that Woodward, using his limited knowledge of the time, identified as belonging to some large fish. They have since been re-identified as plesiosaur and ichthyosaur vertebrae. Over the next 100 years, little was added to the collections until Reverend Adam Sedgwick became the 7th Woodwardian Professor in 1818. During his 55-year tenure, the collections grew from 10,000 objects to 500,000, and that included the acquisition of some significant marine reptile remains. On a visit to Lyme Regis in 1820, Sedgwick bought some fossils from a local dealer by the name of Mary Anning. Unfortunately, Mary Anning's name does not appear on any of our specimen labels, so it's difficult to match this first transaction to any specific specimens. However, we do have details of some additional material he bought from years later. In Cambridge University Library, amongst Adam Sedgwick's correspondence, are some letters he received from Mary Anning. They contain details of fossils that he purchased, including descriptions, agreed prices, and confirmation that they've been shipped. In the 1980s, a curator, David Price, tried to match these letters to the specimens. The results of his investigation were published in the Geological Curator. Some specimens still remain a little uncertain, but there's absolutely no doubt about this one pictured here, because Mary Anning included a drawing of it in her letter. With acquisition of these large heavy specimens, so began our challenges with storing them. To start with, many of them were purchased in the 1830s. There wasn't actually a museum until 1842. So initially, Sedgwick had to store them in his college rooms. Sedgwick successfully petitioned the university to build the first Woodwardian Museum of Geology in 1842. The Cockerell building, seen here, was originally built to house a museum downstairs and a library upstairs. It's still used as a library today. In 1843, the new Woodwardian Museum was visited by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. In this historical drawing depicting the event, you can see our Whitby plesiosaur on the wall behind Sedgwick, and on the table is an ichthyosaur that is in the process of unpacking. It could be this Mary Anning specimen, acquired that same year. Sedgwick continued to acquire new material at a pace. More marine reptiles arrived, including framed ichthyosaurs from Thomas Hawkins, and thousands of disarticulated remains from the Oxford clay, Kimmeridge clay, Cambridge Green Sand and Chalk, collected by museum curator Henry Keeping. Thus, in 1904, a new museum was built to house the expanding collections. This one was named after Sedgwick. And here is the Sedgwick Museum. On the very top of the tower, sparkling in the sunlight, is our ichthyosaur weather vane. Top right is a close-up of it, taken in 2015 when the tower roof was being recoppered and the weather vane was brought down to be regilded. Many of our framed marine reptiles used to be displayed vertically down the centre of the gallery, as shown in this old photograph. When the gallery was redeveloped in the 90s, it was decided they would be better off stored horizontally. The best specimens were moved to a new display, supplemented with new interpretive text, artwork and models, and the rest were relocated to our stores. The A.G. Brighton Building Stores, built in 1990, designed as a reserve store and a conservation facility. It included a conservation lab with mechanical prep and acid prep facilities, drawer storage for small material, and space for the museum's extensive archive. Unfortunately, it did not include suitable storage for large specimens. Standard warehouse deck seam racking was all that was available. On the plus side, it was strong enough to take the weight of the large slabs of rock. On the downside, we had so much material that specimens had to be stored floor to ceiling on racks so tightly packed that there was no room between them to manoeuvre the lifting equipment necessary to safely access things. This is the equipment that we had available. A small personnel lift for sending people up to drawers, and a crank handle stacker for bringing drawers down to people. We frequently used these machines in tandem to access specimens at height, but it was never easy, nor particularly safe. A forklift truck like this is the best way to access things safely. But the only way this forklift was able to get into our stores to access this 3 metre long ichthyosaur, 3 metres in the air, was for us to empty and dismantle 5 entire racks. The Colin Forbes building, completed in 2019, sits alongside our existing Brighton building. Together, they form one large reserve store and research facility. The Forbes building main store contains drawer slot racking down one side and long span shelving down the other. Rather than storing any large objects at height, we've spread them throughout the store on the lowest 2 shelves on every rack. These shelves have been fitted with rollers to make it much easier to slide objects on and off. Before moving it into the new store, we had to weigh and measure it all. An inventory revealed 500 specimens, 10 times more than we were anticipating. Small objects are boxed up, large objects with uneven bases are placed on MDF boards, which immediately made them easier to slide on and off shelves and trolleys. We then had to arrange them in the new store based on size, weight and taxon. You can see more about the new store and about how we move these objects using our new lifting equipment in the tour made by my colleagues Helen and Catherine. As well as simply moving objects to our new store, we also took the opportunity to take care of some that had deteriorated over the years and required urgent conservation treatment. For example, this juvenile ichthyosaur specimen that was recently restored by Nigel Larkin. All this has, of course, been in aid of improving access to the collections for research, teaching and display. Our marine reptiles, including 38 type fossils, are our most popular specimens with visiting researchers year after year. They're featuring at least 48 new research articles since 2015, and we look forward to welcoming many more researchers to the museum and stores to study these fascinating fossils in the future. Thank you.